Welcome to MumAbroad's YouTube channel. With me today is Carlien Doevendans. She's an expat training spouse who has made her career to support women in their midlife in finding new meaning to life's big questions, such as who am I and what do I want? She moved from South Africa in 2007 with her husband and 3 sons. They went to Vienna for 9 years, and she's now resident in Barcelona with her husband and youngest son. Welcome, Carlien. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, and thank you for having me on the YouTube channel.
My pleasure. You have a degree in psychology and you're a certified life coach. What made you decide to focus on women in midlife?
For the past 13 years, my life was literally duct taped to an aeroplane and suitcases. So relocating between countries and traveling from home visits, holidays, projects, on top of that, raising my boys, running a household, and I mean, the list is just endless. I still had to find time making new friends, nurturing old friendships, and then my relationship with my parents and my siblings. But for quite some time, my life felt like a silent film, like in the early 1900s. Very fast paced, exciting, but it was open to interpretation from whoever looks in from the outside. And for a long time, I presumed that I needed to keep up appearances because that is what society expects of us. And when I look at everyone else's silent film life, then it looks like they have it all together. So until a few years back, it was like the sound became more clearer in my life. And I noticed that the conversations that I had with friends and even strangers of the same age group were so relatable. There were more similarities between our experiences and our feelings, whether it was questioning our value and our worth, or feeling stuck, or feeling invisible to society, especially after giving everything to caring for our loved ones. And it was then that I decided to set out on my own journey with a coach to explore and create my own personal roadmap in, living my life with purpose and more intention. And that prompted me to set out to support amazing midlife women who dare to dream of what life might look like beyond caring for others.
That really resonates with me. I found myself in a similar situation where I've given the past 16 years to my family, and now, as my children are growing up, it's like, okay, what about me? What do I do now? So I understand that completely. What do you think are the most common reasons women feel stuck in their lives?
Um, there are quite a few, but it all depends on your circumstances, for one. But the one that always plays a big role is the word change. And change brings out resistance in us. And just to mention a few, you've got biological changes in the season that we are in. It's whether it's hormones, metabolism, and I think most women either don't have the knowledge of how the changes will affect them, or they are resistant to the transitioning into the new season of their lives. Then I think the biggest change is the family environment, whether it's empty nest, divorce, the death of a spouse or a child, even relocation again. Um, that alone brings out a bucket full of emotions, to the table. And then other one is either stepping back from a career or stepping into a career. But I mean, all of the above brings on fear of leaving the known, that feeling of uncomfortable or facing something new. And I think that the fear of the unknown is the source of the resistance, and that makes them feel stuck.
I think that we often unconsciously put limitations on ourselves and our own abilities. How can you help someone change this?
That is so true. And it is not a quick three-step solution. But to put it in a nutshell, I believe that we need to understand the connection between our thoughts, our emotions, and our behavior, because the one is a catalyst for the other, and vice versa. when we understand that, we first must acknowledge then, that we're limiting ourselves to be able to make the shift. Secondly, we must be willing, to be uncomfortable while making the changes to support the mental shift that needs to happen. And then thirdly, we must develop behaviors that gets us closer to cultivating a limit-free self every day.
Really difficult, isn't it? Because we don't like being outside of our comfort zone, and we really need to dig deep if we want to make these changes. So not easy, I would
No,
say.
it's not.
From your own experience, what advice would you give to a young woman who finds herself in this scenario of being a trailing spouse?
Wow. I have an endless list, but to name a few, I would say give yourself plenty of time to emotionally adjust. It is a roller coaster time, but you can do it. And if you are concerned about your mental state, then reach out to a professional. Most of us experience expat depression at some point of time. I think the other thing is use the expat focused resources like MumAbroad. I mean, these kind of services can really help you alleviate anxiety and just make the process and the transition so much easier. Another element that I found was really important is like talk to your spouse or your partner. Many couples struggles to re-establish their routine after a move or a relocation. And as a result, it might be hard to stay connected as a couple. And then also get connected to other expats and locals. But I think the most important is to immerse yourself into the culture, and not just mix with just expats, but just get connected with everyone. And I think the biggest one is enjoy the experience. Enjoy it.
Sure, communication is key in this situation, isn't it? If you're having difficulties, if you're struggling, it's all very well finding friends, people that you can talk to, but sometimes you need to take that step further and talk to a professional. And I think we need to realise that there's nothing wrong with that. You mentioned earlier, very briefly, empty nest syndrome. You've written about this from your first-hand experience because your two eldest sons have now left home. Um, this is inevitable for parents, not just mothers, but for fathers as well. How can we prepare ourselves for this?
Um, yeah, I mean, that is really inevitable. And I believe the most important thing, again, is communication, first and foremost. So I would say open a dialogue between yourself and your partner, exploring the upcoming changes and how it will affect everything from your emotional, mental, physical, family circumstances, and logical perspective. Then, if you are a single parent, create the dialogue with your child. Um, it's like, talk about the elephant in the room, because if you don't, the elephant will suffocate you. Connect with other women. I think also that is so important, that connection with other women who have already gone through the empty nest season. They can provide so much support and tips. And then again, back to the professional, get coached. This is really a good time for to work with a coach on your goals and your dreams and on that big question, what's next? And then I think a big element that contributes to mental well-being is a journal. So keep track of your thoughts. To that, my son actually mentioned to me the other day. He said, "Mom," and he said it with respect, but he said, "You need to get a life." And he said, because, and I realized that if they see us getting excited about our next season in our lives, and excited about what we want to do, not to exclude them, it makes them so much more. It makes it so much more easier for them to transition into their season, and I think they mirror what they see we do, and if we can practice what we preach, I think it will add so much to their emotional well-being as well.
If you look back at your own experiences of living abroad with your family, Is there anything that you would have done differently?
Yes, definitely. If I think back, I would take better care of myself. And if I think about the self-care concept, it's not the tangible self-care like manicures and pedicures and going to the hairdresser, but the intangible part, and that encompasses guilt and shame and the who am I factor of we give ourselves to our family, but in that process, we kind of, to a certain extent, lose ourselves, our own identity. And if I could go back and do that differently, is still keep the balance. So I think coming back to having a balance between caring for your family, because that's my choice. That was my choice to do. But in the same sense, spend as much time on my self development and my own identity, that when we come to the end of or the start of a new season like midlife or the empty nest, that we are not lost or stuck, or we don't know who we are within that environment anymore.
Yeah, very important. And finally, what do you love about your work?
I think the best part is just meeting women from all walks of life and cultures and traditions, and just to join them, on their journey of discovery, of change, and just help them making a sense of who they are at that moment in time. And also the biggest thing is where they want to be, where they want to go, and to notice the growth and the transition. But I think the biggest one is the flexibility as well of the technology. I mean, thank you for technology, because I can connect with anyone anywhere in the world.
Sure, it opens up the world for you, doesn't it?
Yes.
If our viewers would like to get in touch with you, they can take a look at your website. The details are at the bottom of the screen now, and there they will find your contact details, so your telephone number and your email address.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining me today. Great hearing about your business, and please keep up the good work.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
What do you love about where you live?
We live in Esplugues de Llobregat, and I love it because it's got a quiet village feel to it. I'm close to the mountains to go for a walk, but close enough to the small shops, and I could be in Barcelona in minutes.
Your favorite restaurant in Barcelona?
Oh, Sindua. It is an Indian restaurant, very close to the Provença metro station.
Your ideal Sunday, what would that be?
Family time, attending a church service, and walking on the beach.
Best weekend escape outside of the city?
Monteruig in Tarragona. I love the hiking trails.
The best way to get around the city, in your opinion?
Oh, my scooter chauffeur. That's my husband. We go everywhere on our moped.
Your favorite Barcelona site?
The Gothic district. I love the architecture.
Can you recommend one activity for teenagers in the city?
If they love art, definitely the Museum of Contemporary Art in Barcelona.
Your favorite part of Spain?
Costa Brava.
Your favorite family-friendly beach?
Castelldefels.
And can you describe your life in 3 words?
Blessed, happy, exciting.